The iPhone 15 Pro's CAD models have been leaked in an article posted by Max Weinbach on 9to5Mac. Max previously revealed the iPhone 14 CAD models back in March 2022, and these ended up being extremely accurate. In terms of the iPhone 15 CADs, Max got them from a reliable case manufacturer, and then Ian Zelbo made a 3D model based on those CAD models. So here are 5 interesting things that I've noticed in terms of these CAD models. Number 1, a more rounded frame. So you know how the iPhone 14, 13, and 12, their frame was perfectly flat. It was very grippy, but it wasn't the most comfortable by any means. Now, we have actually had some previous rumors that were pointing towards a more rounded body for the iPhone 15s. A few people even did concepts that showed that, an iPhone 5C-like design or a MacBook Pro body. That's how we all expected the iPhone 15s to look like. But I gotta say, based on these CAD models, the iPhone 15 won't be as rounded as we all expected it to be. So, I mean, it's slightly more rounded around the corners to make it more comfortable to hold, but if you compare this to the S23 Ultra, for example, the Ultra's frame is still way more rounded. So even though I do think that this change will indeed make it more comfortable to hold, I don't think that's gonna make a massive difference. Then the second thing that I've noticed is that the bezels are extremely thin. And just like with the frame, there have been rumors in the past, and mostly from Shrimp Apple Pro, saying that the iPhone 15 Pro's bezels will be thinner and that the edges will also be curved. Now, if you take a look at this CAD model, the bezels are indeed significantly thinner, like what, half the thickness compared to an iPhone 14 Pro? Now, they don't really look curved to me, but I guess there is this slight lip coming from the frame that should protect the bezels in case you are to drop your phone, which is good. And I kept wondering, could these actually be the thinnest bezels on any phone? Well, possibly. The current bezel king is the S22/S23, so the non-Ultra models. And these were about 15 to 20% thinner than the bezels on the iPhone 14 Pros. But if you take a look at the 15 Pro, well, this one has even thinner bezels compared to the Samsung phones. Although I should mention that normally with CAD models, you don't really get to see anything in terms of the display. You only get to see, the buttons and the dimensions. So it could also be the case where the bezels were only approximated based on the leaks rather than, the true bezel sizes. But all in all, we should still expect to see some thinner bezels on the Pro models of the iPhone 15s based on all the leaks that we've seen so far. Then the third thing that I've noticed is, of course, USB Type-C. Now, you can tell this by the larger port. USB-C has long been rumored, so I wouldn't really say that this is a surprise. Now, I did say in some of our older videos that I believed Apple would limit the USB Type-C speeds on the non-Pro iPhone models to likely something like USB 2.0. This is because they've done exactly the same thing with the brand new baseline iPad. And then Ming-Chi Kuo reported this exact same thing based on info from his supply chain sources, that we will indeed be seeing USB 2.0 speeds on the iPhone 15s and then faster speeds on the Pro models. How fast? Well, my guess then and now still is USB 3.2, so 10 gig per second speeds, which would match the speeds that we currently get from the iPad Air. Some were saying that Apple could bring Thunderbolt, but I just don't see that happening since you won't be connecting an iPhone to a 6K display anytime soon, and you would also not be connecting it to a Thunderbolt dock. So, that would still be cool. I would love to see a DeX mode where, your iPhone boots into macOS or something like that. That would be amazing, but I just don't see this happening anytime soon with the iPhone. Personally, I don't think the difference in USB-C speeds will be a problem. And that's because with the Pro models, you have the option to take raw photos and shoot ProRes video. And of course, when you want to transfer those, you will need that speed, which the Pro models would already have. Then at number 4, I've also noticed these holes for where the buttons are. Holes for the mute, the volume up, volume down, the power button, as well as the SIM tray. So why is that? Why do I think we have holes instead of actual buttons? Well, keep in mind that this is a CAD model that's coming from a case manufacturer. And usually case manufacturers either leave the buttons empty or they have their own button inserts. And considering that with previous CAD models the buttons were indeed visible, I think that this simply reinforces the idea that Apple will indeed be removing the buttons and replacing those with static ones and haptic feedback like we've seen rumored before. And this of course will come with quite a few advantages. The main one being that we will have 3 haptic motors instead of just 1, which will give you a more immersive feedback when you're using your phone. Plus, all of that haptic feedback won't just be coming from the bottom of your phone, it will now come from the left-hand side and the right-hand side as well. Not only that, but these buttons could also be more durable, and we could also see an improved water resistance, although I don't really see anyone needing more than the 6 meter monitors that we have now. So what about the mute switch? Because at the moment, that's a physical switch that goes up and down. How could Apple turn that into a static button? Well, if you look at the CAD model, you can see that this new button is now shorter and also longer. So my guess is that this button will now be a singular press button rather than an up and down switch. So you press it once and then the mute is on and it will give you a strong haptic feedback, and then you press it again, mute's off, and this will give you a lighter haptic feedback. And number 5, the camera bump is insanely big now. Like ever since the iPhone 10, Apple has started increasing the camera bump more and more. The 11 Pro had a bigger one, the 12 Pro had an even bigger one, the 13 Pro had a bigger one once again, 14 Pro even bigger, and yeah, the 15 Pros is just getting gigantic. Like if you measure the camera bump alone, you'll see that it is almost as thick as the entire thickness of the phone. So it's gonna be like carrying 2 iPhones in your pocket, at least in that camera bump area. Ian Zelbo did post a side-by-side photo of the camera bump on the 15 Pro compared to the 14 Pro, and as you can see, there's a significant increase in terms of the thickness. And not only that, but the body seems to be getting thicker as well. So why is the camera module getting so thick when we already got a pretty significant camera upgrade with a massive new sensor with the 14 Pros last year? Well, a November report coming from Nikkei did say that Apple was planning to include Sony's latest sensors with the iPhone 15 Pros. Sensors that can also capture more light, which means that there are also bigger sensors, which of course would then require a bigger camera bump. Not only that, but keep in mind that the Max model, the Pro Max, will be getting a periscope camera module. Now, based on these CAD models, I think this is actually just the Pro and not the Pro Max. The Pro Max might have an even larger camera bump because of that periscope module. So do subscribe, we will be doing a video on that as soon as the CAD model for the Pro Max comes out, which should be fairly soon. So that's all I've noticed from the CAD model, but we've also had a photo leak as well. This is coming from user unknown Z21 who posted this on Mac Rumors. Now, we don't really know how legit this is as this person has no track record in the past, but this appears to be a photo of an iPhone with a design that actually matches the CAD models very, very close. You can see the USB Type-C ports, you can see that more rounded frame, and interesting enough, the texture of the body is brushed. And you know what else is brushed? Titanium, which has been long rumored to be replacing stainless steel for the iPhone 15 Pro's frame. Titanium being lighter, more durable, and the fingerprints would not be as visible as with stainless steel. Now, we are currently working on a concept based on this CAD model, so do stay tuned for our upcoming Leaks and Rumors videos, which will all feature that concept. All in all, there's a big camera upgrade coming to the iPhone 15 Pros once again, a slight design change, and USB Type-C. And if you don't think that these changes are, big enough for you, you can always just grab an iPhone 14 Pro, especially when it's discounted. You can find some deals by pressing the YouTube shoppable cards down below. But yeah, let me know what do you guys think of these new CAD model leaks, and stay tuned for more Leaks Rumors episodes. I'm Daniel, Team ZONEofTECH, and I'll see you guys in the next one. ZONEofTECH, signing out. Cheers.